intro, man.
So let's start from the beginning. Nicolaas, tell us about your role at Anthology. What do you do?
So I'm a vice president of product management. So I basically lead the product management team for our LMS solution, Blackboard Learn.
Yep.
So basically, I'm kind of responsible together with the team for the roadmap, the future direction, so all of the fun stuff, really.
So that's not a lot of things, is it? That's very minimal responsibility.
It's
right?
a fair amount.
No, it's a fair amount. I mean, you're basically setting the roadmap for all the clients and all the product releases and all of these things that are going on in the system. There's been big announcements here at Anthology 2023.
It's an understatement.
I would like to know what was the big reveal, and just tell us again, like you're telling us for the first time.
So it wasn't just one big reveal; it was 6 big reveals.
Wow.
So it was. I've been looking forward to this for months, and I mean, the one that I'm probably most excited about is the release of our new AI design assistant.
Artificial intelligence.
It is the buzzword of the day, but why I'm really excited about it is because it's not just AI for the sake of AI. It's actually helping solve long-standing, significant institutional problems around instructional design and scaling instructional design. So we're doing it in such a way that we think it's really going to help instructors. It's going to save them time. It's going to provide them with inspiration. It's going to allow them to create more engaging learning experiences more quickly. So I'm really excited. We're the first LMS that is going to market with these things. So
Amazing.
Congratulations.
It is amazing.
That's awesome.
It's incredible.
And the other thing that I'm excited about with the AI design assistant is that we are trying to do it in a very ethical and responsible way. So we've released a framework around kind of the ethical use of AI, and we are adhering to a lot of different principles that basically put the institution in control, put the instructor in control, and really kind of take a very careful first few steps towards ultimately kind of, I think, revolutionizing the learning management system.
I want to talk about ethics and AI, but I'm going to save that more towards the end because I want to know how we got here. I want to know, what did it look, how did it happen to where this takes place? Is this, 6 months ago, a year ago? How did you gather feedback on how this needs to look? Was there user input? How do you take something so large and so important and manifest it to this day, this release, to where how long you've been working on this sucker?
Yeah.
Well, it's been a very agile and a very fast process. And so this is part of where our partnership with Microsoft around this comes in as well. So we got in on the ground floor, essentially, very much on the bleeding edge.
Epic.
It was very epic.
I love it.
And so basically, I mean, we've been working on this for the last 9 months at least. And yeah, it's been a process. Like we knew there was a lot of possibility, and so we've been working very closely with an AI advisory council. That's basically we've been meeting with on a bi-weekly basis to give us feedback into both the principles behind it and kind of the trustworthy AI side of things, but then also the capabilities and which things would resonate with instructors, with instructional designers, which things are a little bit more touchy or a little bit more controversial, I guess. And so we've started to build it out from there. It's actually evolved quite a bit. And there's a few things that we did that we actually decided not to release because it kind of wasn't quite resonating. And then there's a few areas where we've kind of pivoted significantly. But I think the way in which it's coming together is really just very contextually helping instructors in those areas where it just takes a lot of time to create a rubric, to come up with a set of test questions. And we can give them assistance while they're still in control. They can just do it better and faster now.
Yeah.
Did you walk in one day and you just sat down and you looked at everybody and you said,
Execute Order 66.
is that how fast it got here?
That's actually not too far from the truth.
That's awesome.
I remember there was a day where kind of everything started to come together. And I know just talking to a bunch of people, and it just like started rolling so quickly within a matter of days. And then things were starting to come to life, and we were getting client feedback, and it was pretty cool.
Congratulations on getting to this point. How do you feel? Does it feel like, are you elated? Are you relieved? Because you've had to hold this in, and you get to this point where you do a big reveal, it has to be so right, because everybody's going to go in and look right away that it, and go, well, let me check this out, and what does it do? And I'm going to ask it to do this crazy thing, and let's see if it does it.
Yeah, so I'm relieved for sure
Yeah.
that we can finally talk about it publicly. Obviously, because the work we were doing with Microsoft, we couldn't be quite as public about it as we usually are. But yeah, I've been waiting for this for months, and I've really had to bite my tongue so much over the last. I don't know if there's anything left at this point, but over the last couple of weeks, we've actually been previewing it with a number of institutions, a number of clients, just to kind of do a dry run, and I could start to see, like, there was a conference I was at last week in Wales, back in the UK, where we essentially previewed it. It was one of the first times that we showed it to anyone outside of the AI Advisory Council, and it was with real instructors, and so they were sitting in the room, and we were going, so administration at my institution, how quickly are you going to enable this? Because I'm going to wait putting my course together until this is available. So that was a good sign.
Yeah.
So I was excited, and very, very happy that we're here now, but I'm also impatient because now that we're here, we're only really just starting to scratch the surface.
Yeah.
And we're seeing so many possibilities now, and we're already taking the next steps as to where we're going. So I'm very impatient and excited about kind of what's going to come next. I mean, ultimately, it kind of fundamentally changes what a learning management system is, where it moves away from it being a system where you manage learning to it being a system where you create the learning and where you design it together with the environment. I think it'll be really cool.
I like your style, dude.
We've what you just said, I don't think I've heard anybody say it like that. It goes from a learning management system where you manage the learning to a learning creativity station, essentially learning creativity. That has profound implications on the future of higher education. We always ask people, what's the future of higher education? Maybe this is it.
Yeah.
Maybe you've helped catalyze the future of higher education in such a way that it's going to have impact for hundreds of thousands and millions of students across the U.S. and the world. I don't know if you've thought that deeply into it, but
I need a sound effect here as well. But
I don't know if how about this one?
Throw me a frickin' bone here.
But I do agree with you. I think this can actually create some significant changes, and really, I mean, what it's all about, it's the quality of the experience that a student has, and with these tools, I think we can give them higher quality learning experiences that are more authentic, allow them to learn better, are more engaging, and that's pretty fundamental, because that directly affects your student retention, the way that students feel about it, but it also allows institutions to finally, I mean, it solves that long-standing problem of scaling instructional design.
Yes.
It's been really, really difficult, and a lot of instructors haven't necessarily been trained how to teach, and this can really give some significant scale, I think, to instructional design, creating quality experiences, and that's
And you know, one of the
fundamental.
big problems of instructional design is redesign. It's updating courses, and you go in a 2-year cycle, and you think about, wait a minute, you can't wait 2 years to update a marketing course right now, because the marketing course has AI. Marketing is all getting dominated by AI. And how could you wait a year or even 18 months to update a course? But if you embed something like this within your LMS, within your where you're creating courses, you can continually pull in updates. You could ask the language model, the AI, to scrape the internet for the most updated AI tools out there and embed them in a course.
Give you some suggestions as to how you can improve your materials or do additional activities, or I think it will allow things to be much more up to date, much more engaging, and I'm dying to see where instructors take this. I think
Tell them like it is.
What's the reaction been from users? Are they getting you in the corner going, Nicolaas, I don't understand what's happening, this AI thing? Or are they going, you know what, I've been messing around with ChatGPT, and now I'd love to see something like this in the system. Are you bringing people along, or are they there?
I would say 80% has been really excited, and I think the approach that we're taking towards it, where it's the institution gets to decide when they enable it, the instructor's always in the middle. It's really aimed at the instructor, not yet at the student directly.
Right.
And I think the approach that we're taking is allows them to take their first steps towards this in a way that's not as scary.
Yeah.
So 80% very excited. I think 20% a little anxious, kind of seeing, wanting to see what happens. Now realizing that they have to come up with institutional policies around the use of AI and things along those lines.
Yeah.
But as soon as they hear that it's off by default, and they can just decide when they want to go all in, they're kind of relieved, and hopefully the faculty will actually start to build some demand and some practice, because it's this really helps.
For someone like yourself, I have to ask you, how do you stay at the front end of technology and AI? Because if you're the VP of product management, you're spearheading the implementation of this, that means you know a lot, or at least you have a really good team that informs you, probably a little bit of both. How do you stay fresh?
Well, I don't do that much. It's mostly the team, right?
Liar.
But I do have a background in artificial intelligence, so my postgraduate degree was in machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Nailed it.
It is an area of interest that I have a little bit more knowledge about than other topics, and that definitely helps.
Yeah.
So
You're curious. Do you have to be curious with it, right?
You do, and you have to tinker a lot and try a lot and kind of try everything that's coming out and see what's usable. Kind of use it to ideate together with institutions, and I love playing with this stuff. And and
me too.
The
I spend like
just start
30
to
minutes
flow.
a day just checking out different AI tools, because there's 100 a day or 1,000 a day coming out.
I'm
now.
surprised you get through them in half an hour.
Well, that's because I don't know what I'm doing. That's usually how I walk away. Talk about the investments that have been made in Blackboard Learn. You've had 200 or something new features come out. Just my microphone dying on me. 200 new features coming out, and you're focused on features that really matter for the system. How do you make those decisions? How do you decide on the 200 first of all, and what these features are?
And that's just 200 in the last year. So no, it's evolving extremely rapidly, and I mean ultimately it is it kind of takes a village, and it's kind of a combination of all of the feedback that we're receiving from our instructors, from our students, from our clients, in things like our ID exchange, our kind of weekly focus groups. We survey tens of thousands of students and instructors every month. We do technical preview programs. We get a lot of direct feedback, and all of that just funnels in, and we kind of try to bring it together as best as possible, which is ultimately the kind of the product manager's job. But there's a lot of feedback to incorporate. I've been quite happy because a lot of people are seeing that we're trying to listen. They feel heard. I mean, and for me personally, it's the most important thing. It's more important than AI, actually. I think if you're trying to create a valuable product, you got to listen. There's just there's not an option not to.
You got to listen to the people that use it, right? They're using it, and if they don't use it, then you don't have a product. So
what's the point?
Yeah, that's exactly. Was July a good month for product releases?
July was a pretty good month.
Yeah?
I think we had about 30 features that were being released just in the month of July.
Wow. That's
the
incredible.
only thing I will say is that the August release is an even better month.
Wow.
Where we're again kind of breaking our record. And I think over the last year, we've broken our record in terms of number of enhancements per month 8 times. So we're...
Do you have a number on a whiteboard that you're like, we need 31 or we need 32?
Well, it's 35 in August.
So you're going to have 36 the next month. Is it that way, or is it quality? Is it quantity?
It's got to be quality.
Okay, but quantity does matter too, right? Because you have to, there could be a lot of demands that you need to meet.
Of course.
So there's a diminishing return between quality and it has to be quality, but quantity to meet the demand. How do you manage quality and quantity and speed and all of those?
So quality to me is non-negotiable. So we followed the kind of the perfect slice methodology, where nothing can go out unless, obviously we can't deliver the whole pie for a capability or an area in one go, nor should we, because we gotta evolve it based on feedback. But what we deliver has to be able to stand by itself, has to be valuable, and so we cannot compromise on that. That is non-negotiable. But then, I mean, quantity does matter, and that's where the investment that Anthology is making, we tripled the size of our team as the companies came together, which is kind of allowing us to combine, I think, both quantity with quality.
Oh, yeah.
Hit both. Do you? How does your team work with you? How do you lead? Do you lead like a distributed model and you empower them to just go create these things? Are you since you're a tinker, do you like to know a little bit about everything that's happening? How do you?
You should probably ask them in private.
No, I won't. I won't do that.
It's a little bit of both. But I mean, the way in which we organize is, again, I do very little. The way in which we organize is we kind of divide our product team into what we call value streams. So each value stream is a kind of a very close collaboration between one or more product managers, one or more designers, one or more development teams, and they're essentially responsible for a specific area in the product. And so they get to, they manage their own backlog, they prioritize, they get the feedback from users, they iterate based on that. And so it's really their responsibility to try and add as much value within that area of the product as quickly as possible. And I think it's a really good really good approach, and people get to hear the feedback directly, which allows us to respond in better ways. And I think that's worked pretty well. So that ultimately means that I'm not responsible for any part of the system, because that's what the value streams.
But you're responsible for all of it in the end, right? Because you've got to continue to drive innovation, right? That's your responsibility, and that's a big time role in this day and age to continue to drive technology and innovation.
And it's a collective responsibility. It's an amazing team. It's been really fun, actually.
So consumer and user feedback really matters. And I don't know if you've been watching social media. There's one tweet, the Twitterverse, if you will. Elvin, are you a part of the Twitterverse?
I am a part of the Twitterverse.
Don't lie.
That's so less here.
I know.
Threads, right?
Nobody even on Twitter.
Now.
Somebody wrote something that they were a huge critic of Blackboard Learn, and then heard about the releases or saw the release and says, I'm in Canvas now and I need to figure out how to get to back to Blackboard Learn. Is that like the best compliment you could possibly get with something like this?
I may put that above my bed. That's pretty cool. I mean, the progress that's been made over the last kind of 1 to 2 years it's been really remarkable, I would say, and kind of it's a very different learning management system. I truly believe that it's kind of the most modern. It's it's kind of the best LMS that's out there, and it's come such a long way. And I think with the 6 things that are coming out now, because we've really only talked about one of them.
You want to give us the other 5 off the top of your head, or you want to highlight another important one that you think matters? It's totally up to you. This is your microphone.
Well, so let me go back to the tweet first. So with the things that are coming in the next couple of months, with these announcements, with the further improvements that we're making, it's such a big leap forward as far as the instructor is concerned, as far as the student experience is concerned, that I'm glad to hear about that tweet, and I kind of hope that's where we're going to hear more of that as we go forward.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
We believe that you will. We believe that you will, because I think this is a landmark moment for higher ed. When you embed something like AI into a SIS, which SIS is, for somebody who's worked in higher ed for 20 years, and SISs can be extremely complicated and they can be extremely simple. And it's how you use it and how you're supported that really makes the big difference, right? So, but features do matter. And if you put something like, I'm using AI outside of the system, if I can use AI within the system, then it really relates to my job, and it doesn't take me off down these rabbit holes where I'm exploring. And what does it allow me to do? It allows me to create work and spend more time doing what I'm supposed to be doing, which is serving students or meeting with students or talking with students. Is that a foundational goal when you think about this? Is how do I create time? How do I give people back time to serve students?
I mean, if there's one thing that instructors don't have, it's time.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always strapped for time. So anything that we can do to help them save time is a good thing. And actually is necessary given everything they're dealing with. That's why one of the other announcements that we made today is our new flexible grading experience, which is going live in a few weeks' time. So this is a completely new grading experience for Learn Ultra, which we've been working on this for such a long time. We've had 420 instructors involved for 6 months. We're actually testing it, and we've been tweaking the heck out of it. And I truly believe that it's kind of the most efficient, kind of the fastest grading experience that's out there. And that's another example of where you can really help save instructors time. But it's not just about saving time, it's also allowing them to do more and do things better, create more engaging experience, create
more impactful things,
richer feedback, and as you're saying, kind of spend more time with the student as well, which is critically important.
Let's go back to what you brought up originally, which is some of the ethical considerations around AI. You can't just throw AI in and just runs itself. You have to
idea.
create guardrails. You know, the news that comes out that says people are predicting that AI could take over humanity, and then there's people that say if you just create the right guardrails, we're going to be fine. It's going to put more focus on the human skills and allow AI to do some of the machine things that we're doing by hand and manually. How do you think about ethical considerations as you go through this process? And what were some of your foundational non-negotiables that you talked about?
Yeah, and then there's a number of different kind of non-negotiables. I mean, the first one is that the institution has to be in control. We've seen some kind of early efforts from kind of players in this space where they haven't followed that, and I think that's really difficult because it doesn't allow them to have the conversation that they need to have. So, yikes! Institution's always in control. They get to decide when they enable it. Secondly, the instructor's always in control. That one's the biggest non-negotiable.
Did you hear that when you said that, like a bomb drop behind us?
That was a mic drop.
Yeah, it was some mic drop. Not say bomb drop.
Nicolaas, well done.
Yeah, so the instructor's always in control. So with these initial capabilities, any suggestions that we make, anything that we present to them, has to be explicitly reviewed and accepted by an instructor. We think it's too early for AI to be directly exposed to students, or to be used in really high stakes workflows like the grading workflow, because there's some risk. There's risk for bias. There's risk for hallucinations. Yeah. And that's why it's so important that the instructor's always in the middle. And I think it makes it much more palatable as well, because they're still in control. They're just getting inspiration. They're getting help. And then there's the whole kind of the data privacy side of things as well, where we wanted to make sure that we strongly believe that the data is the institution's, it's not ours or anyone else. Yeah. And so anything that gets institutional data doesn't get used for training models or anything along those lines. That's all cleanly separated, and that's where the collaboration with Microsoft was extremely helpful. So it's just a few of the kind of the non-negotiables, but the instructor being in control and a human being in the middle was really critical for us.
Bullseye.
Gotta leave them in control. I believe too that what you've done here in leading this is going to save a lot of institutions a lot of grief, because I think the students coming with an expectation of AI. I was talking to the student panel earlier today, and I said, you know, what are you guys using? And they're using different AI tools, exploring. The student's going to come to an institution with their own set of expectations around AI and how they learn and how they feel they have to be supported. This moves an institution who may not be AI ready to be way more AI ready. It's moved them along without them even thinking that they've moved along, because it's embedded in the system, the learning management system that they have. That is going to be critical, and I think that is you're moving institutions, not just people at this point.
And we've had that exact comment in our AI Advisory Council, where right now it's a little bit of a Wild West, and a lot of people are doing things, a lot of people are not doing anything, but this makes it now they can have the conversation. There's something that they can point to. There's a trusted kind of solution that they can start to have conversations around. They can start to build policy around. So it kind of makes it a more manageable topic. So that's been quite exciting. And I think as far as the students concerned, I mean, we've been doing a lot of research around things like detection of AI, and I personally think that's the wrong direction. I mean, there's a lot of research coming out saying that basically it cannot be done reliably. It kind of disadvantages second language learners with disabilities. They get flagged incorrectly more often. I think even if you flag one student incorrectly, that's a problem. And it's just kind of keeping up with that arms race of trying to, it just cannot be done reliably.
It's like soccer or football. What's better, a high octane offense or a really strong defense? There's companies building detection tools, and there's developers building non-detection tools. Like what?
It's an arms.
It's
an
unbelievable.
Arms race. Yeah. And so where I think kind of the next really exciting step is, and this is where I think students will really benefit, is that we can now start to use these tools to help instructors create more authentic assessment. And kind of better assessment that will help students learn better. And actually things like using AI tools as part of those, I think that's a part of it. Like, go out to an AI tool, use it, have a conversation with it, ask it something, and then critique it or something along those lines. And that's where students will start to gain some of the skills associated to this as well. So I think that's the right direction, using it in a positive way, so that we don't have to lean into the detection side of things, which I think it's kind of a dead end. Anyway.
So for the most important question, and I've saved this one till the end, now that this release has come out, do you go out and celebrate, maybe have a cocktail or two, or do you go flop into bed and sleep for the next week?
Both.
Okay.
Cocktail in bed?
We're not sure. Oh, cocktail
Well
in bed.
said.
How do you
Well
like
said.
that? Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Joe, real quick, that tweet, right? I'm sure there are many people who want to come back.
Oh, yeah.
What's that process like if they want to come
Yeah.
back?
And so the good news is that we've made it really easy to make the move to Ultra. So
Yeah.
we've been doing a ton of work over the last year to make it as easy as possible to make that migration. We've introduced an adoption toolkit that gives them all of the communication, training, planning tools that they need. We've got automated conversion, including from Canvas, for example, where you can basically get all of your courses automatically, natively converted to Learn Ultra. We've got a whole team of people whose sole responsibility it is to help institutions make the move. So they're all available.
Yeah.
It's all included. It's all free of charge. And we're keen to bring people back.
Yeah.
Well, I know either he's while he's sleeping, or if he's having cocktails, or doing both at the same time. I'm pretty sure he's going to think up another amazing tool for his SIS Blackboard Learn Ultra, and the number of clients and people using it continue to grow. Congratulations!
We're
on
just
your-
starting to scratch the surface.
That's awesome.